Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all ages, welcome to the Pastor Rapture Show. I am, without a shadow of a doubt, your Pastor Rapture. Pronouns, human, male, reporting to you front line of the apocalypse from the former United States of America, also known as Clown World. Sorry, no sound effects there, because we are having serious issues with our audio routing. Now, if somebody could, lay the strategy for routing audio on a Mac out, in a straight line format, that would be great, because what I've got right now is a complete, utter, total cluster. So, until the day that I can get my audio figured out, I can only read to you articles and show you stuff. I can't actually, play videos with sound. And, it just sucks. But anyway, it's been a long week, I guess. I've threatened to do a couple of different shows, I guess, and just not done it. Well, that's me. And if you don't like it, well, you probably don't like me, and that's okay too, because I'm done giving a shit about it. So we're going to talk about some stuff here, and then we'll talk about some other stuff, and maybe talk about some different stuff. We don't know. We'll see where this goes. Now, on with the shit show. I do have 2 monitors now, and that's kind of cool. All right. So, from 1440. One big headline, and the date on this is 10/28. That would be today. And they don't do them on Sundays. Israel expands ground activity. The Israeli military conducted a targeted ground raid in Gaza for a second consecutive night Friday and announced plans to expand operations as it moves closer to full ground invasion. Israeli officials said the decision to widen ground operations came after negotiations with Hamas on a possible hostage release hit an impasse. More than 210 hostages from Israel are believed to be held by Hamas in various locations in Gaza. Underneath hospitals, inside schools, inside neighborhoods, using, the people that live there as human shields, because Hamas is fucking garbage. Terrorist organization. Now, an Israeli military representative said Israel had also increased airstrikes on Gaza City and surrounding towns as it seeks to remove Hamas from power in the Gaza Strip. Israel's aerial attacks have cut off communication services and most internet connectivity across the besieged enclave. The latest death toll has risen to more than 7,000 people in Gaza and more than 1,400 people in Israel. Meanwhile, the United Nations General Assembly, by a vote of 120 to 14, approved a Jordanian-led resolution for humanitarian ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Assembly resolutions are not legally binding, but they serve as an indicator of country stances. Separately, the U.S. carried out airstrikes against 2 facilities in eastern Syria tied to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in retaliation for recent drone attacks targeting U.S. troops in the Middle East. Wars and rumors of war. The separation of the chaff from the wheat. And this is what's happening. Who fucking knew when I was born 50 years ago that I'd have to live through the apocalypse? That wasn't, on the agenda. That wasn't part of the college education. That wasn't part of any educational experience at all, being like, oh, by the way, you might want to remember this shit because you have to prepare for the apocalypse. Yeah. Nobody learned that in school, but we're getting to see it anyway because everybody knows that World War III starts in that part of the world, and we're watching it happen right in front of our eyes. Quick hits. Suspect in Lewiston, Maine mass shooting found dead Friday night. The 40-year-old gunman who killed 18 people and injured 13 after opening fire at a bar and a bowling alley is believed to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect's body was reportedly found at a recycling center where he used to work, ending a 2-day search. Authorities also identified all 18 victims. Taylor Swift hits billionaire status, releases 1989 Taylor's version. Who gives a shit? I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I don't know any of her songs. If I do hear her songs, I think I automatically change the station or turn away from the commercial or the tweet or what the short or whatever it is, because it's just, she's insane. Now she's a billionaire. Now she's going to have an even bigger fucking voice than she already does. George Santos pleads not guilty to 10 new felony counts. Now, I understand the guy's a Republican, but, he's not doing anything that any other Republican probably hasn't already done. And we know for damn well the Democrats have done it. He just got caught doing it. But we all know that they all do it. So why are they focusing on this guy? What does he have to fucking say that they don't want to hear? Or who knows? At this point, I'm so far from actually even paying attention anymore because I'm watching the apocalypse happen. So are you. If you're listening to this, you know it. If you're not listening to this, you should fucking know it. Because it's happening right in front of your eyes. This is not the way the world is supposed to be. We are not supposed to be seeing the shit that we're seeing. And I know YouTube will kick me off at some point, but for right now, it doesn't make me any money, and it cross streams over to my Rumble platform anyway. No, I'm not having a very good time of it. It's just, you know it. You know it, and you're sick of seeing it every day, and people just people use a lot of alcohol. They use a lot of different drugs to not have to see what's going on. And if they do see what's going on, they're just too stoned or just too medicated to pay attention. Man, alcohol is one of the most horrible drugs ever invented or to be allowed for use on humans. As a central nervous system depressant, alcohol it's got to be one of the worst drugs in the entire world. It numbs you from head to toe. It decreases your nervous system's speed by factors as long as you're on it. And just, you go out and you drink on a Sunday night or a Saturday or Friday or whenever the hell you're out drinking, drinking on a Sunday night. Yeah, that was me many years ago when I was a crazy alcoholic. But I don't drink anymore. I haven't had a drink in over a decade. And there's a reason why. Because, man, we weren't very good on alcohol. No, not very good people at all. So we don't drink anymore whatsoever. But I know the effects of it, and I know that it dulls your brain to a point to where you can't see stuff. And if you do see stuff, you don't care because it doesn't concern you at the very particular moment. The big ones that we see that I know that I'm going off track, and you know what? It's fine. It's my fucking show. The suspect in the Lewiston, Maine mass shooting. All right, we're going to jump over to this real quick. All right. We know from the news reports that this man over the summer was held in a mental health facility. He was held for 2 weeks. Now, Maine doesn't have red flag laws, but they have a yellow flag law. Here's what you need to know about the state's yellow flag law. 4 years before the gunman's deadly rampage, a law was signed that aimed at preventing mass shootings like this one. The yellow flag law allows law enforcement to detain someone they suspect is mentally ill and poses a threat to themselves or others. The law differs from red flag laws that it requires police first to get a medical practitioner to evaluate the person and find them to be a threat before police can petition a judge to order the person's firearms to be seized. As authorities search for the shooting suspect, Robert Card, 40, of Bowdoin, details about his recent behavior emerge. Card underwent a mental health evaluation in mid-July, where he began acting erratically while with his reserve regiment. A bulletin sent to police across the country after the attack said Card had been committed to a mental health facility for 2 weeks this past summer after hearing voices and threats to shoot up a military base. Okay, he was committed, and after the threats to shoot up the military base, the law should have kicked into place. They should have been able to go and remove his firearms, and they should have gone and removed his firearms. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They didn't. Why didn't they do? We're never going to get a straight answer of why they did not go and seize this person's firearms. One, after the committing because he threatened to shoot up a military base. That should have automatically, locked him up and had his firearms removed. But because for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Now, are the authorities that did not make this happen, are they going to be held accountable? Because this is not the first time we have seen this. Now, I know from personal experience with a friend who had a mental health crisis in Illinois. He had got himself locked up for 2 weeks. They came and seized his firearms. Well, they didn't seize. They gave him a choice. They said, you can find a way to get rid of them to family members, sell them, do whatever, or we're going to come seize them. But you are not allowed to have firearms anymore. And that was it. He no longer had his Second Amendment rights because he had gotten himself locked up in a mental facility in the state of Illinois. That was a decade ago. Today, we see this happen more often than not. There's a mass shooting, and within days to even hours, we find out that the shooter had already been engaged by local, state, or even federal law enforcement authorities. For whatever reasoning, they got this person on their radar and then dropped him off the radar. And here we are seeing it yet again. This person had the mental health crisis, had access to firearms, had threatened to shoot a place up, and they don't remove his firearms. And we've talked about this before, and I've said this before, because they want this to happen. Let me say that again with a little more emphasis on it. They want this shit to happen. Why do they want this to happen? Oh, well, it just so happens within hours of this shooting happening, they're screaming for yet more gun control. Now, this story gets it initially right. The story starts off with the person went and committed these heinous acts, not the firearm. Not the firearm grew little legs, little arms, loaded itself up, got in the car, drove itself to the location, and shot the place up on its own. No, the person did this. Yes, the person did this. Just like a person gets drunk, goes out in their vehicle, drives around, kills somebody. They get charged with vehicular manslaughter. Nobody talks about banning the vehicles. Nobody talks about banning the alcohol. Nobody talks about that. Why? Because they want people to do that. They want people to drink. They want people to drive. They want people to drink and drive. That's why they make it so fucking easy. If they didn't want people to drink and drive, every single vehicle in the country would be fitted with a frickin' breathalyzer lockout. But because they don't want that, they want the accidents to happen. It keeps the police busy. It keeps the courts busy. It keeps the hospitals busy. It keeps the rehab centers busy. It's a huge fucking business to have people who drink, people who drive, people who drink and drive, people who drink and drive and kill people, people who are getting drunk on a fucking live stream, threatening to go out and run somebody over, and then going out and doing it. This is what society has devolved into. But because they want these criminal activities to occur because it benefits them in so many different ways. You've got the fucking dictator Biden screaming, we need more gun control. Guns are so dangerous, to the fucking whore of the White House, Kamala, saying that we need to go door to door and confiscate every single firearm in America. Okay, bitch, get started. You want to confiscate some firearms? Take your ass to the first fucking DC neighborhood you can find and go see some firearms. But you know what? I say you not start in DC. I say you start in Chicago. Get yourself to a neighborhood in downtown Chicago and go see some firearms. Go door to door, your ass walking door to door and see some firearms. See how well that goes for you, bitch. You fucking psycho. The dictators, the dictator supporters, the people who actually voted, who went out and cast their ballots intentionally for a dictator, somebody who's been in government as long as I've been, longer than I've been alive, because he went into the congressional summer session. He got elected in the summer of 72, or maybe it was the fall of 72. It doesn't matter, because I wasn't born until basically the very fucking end of 72. So Joe Biden's been in office longer than I've been alive, and his sum of accomplishments is nothing. He's gotten more people thrown into prison. He's violated more people's rights for 50 years, but the people still voted for him because Orange Man bad. People who can't think for themselves. People who need the mainstream social media to feed them, to give them the information they need to get through the day, whatever they're doing throughout the day. You go to your little slave job, you get your little slave wages, you pay outrageous fucking slave taxes for a government that doesn't do a fuck thing for you anymore. And I'm experiencing here at state level, fighting a corporation that's trying to bring toxic waste dumps into my county. They flooded my state with these toxic waste dumps. It's not the first state they've done it to, but they're being allowed to do it based on that it makes the state money, not just in the licensing fees and the business licensing fees and all the other fees that go into letting this company run a business in the state, but all of the fines they're accruing from all the environmental damage they're doing. They're dumping toxic waste into the environment. They're polluting waters. They're polluting the air. But the only thing we can do is fine them. We can't pull their licenses. Oh, no. Then we couldn't actually fine them. And then they have to pay these huge fines to perform cleanups. I'm doing my air quotes. The fine money goes to the DNR, who's allowing them to commit these acts against the environment. So it's a huge scam. It's a huge circular fucking greedy scam. And at the bottom of it are the citizens being like, this is not what we voted for. And the people who are supposedly the elected officials keep throwing up their hand. Well, we can't do anything. We're not allowed to do anything. We got the health department. The health department in a memo to the county states, we know this is a health hazard, but we can't do anything about it. Excuse me, need a drink here. Now, how ridiculous is it that the health department of the county can come right out and state, yes, we know it's a health hazard, but we can't do anything. If you can't do anything, what is the point of paying for your services? Take your services and we can reallocate the funds someplace else entirely. Because if you can't perform the basic functions of protecting the citizens, just get out of the damn way. Seriously, what are we paying the county health department for? Oh, to go around and harass businessmen about sanitation so they can get more fines, so they can, there it is again. Instead of actually protecting the citizens, They're going out and figuring out ways of scamming the citizens to steal from them more funds. Because my state has personal property tax, which is a huge scam. I'm paying taxes on property that's mine every year for the benefit of, paying taxes on it. And, what does it get for my state? Because, oh man, the roads here fucking suck. And with all the big, heavy truck traffic we have in here out in a rural area, we had the road touched up oh man, was it even over the summer? Oh, it might have been early in the spring. They touched up a couple of spots on the rural highway that I live on, and you can't tell anymore. The big truck traffic has just absolutely obliterated. So come this winter, man, it's going to be pothole city out here. And at that point, you almost want to live on a gravel road, even though the trucks, when they go from the paved road onto the gravel roads, it doesn't even slow them down. And doing 55 out onto a gravel road with a big truck, man, I don't even do that in my little truck, because on gravel roads, you slide around a lot, whether you want to or not. It's like driving on ice. But anyway, told you we'd be getting sidetracked around different stuff here. All right, so. Alrighty. And it keeps on going on to say of why limited details released by police don't make it clear whether the yellow flag law should have stopped the suspect in Lewiston or whether he got guns he used. It's also not clear whether the suspect's commitment to a mental health facility triggered a federal restriction against possessing firearms. Since the 1960s, federal laws in most states have prohibited people from possessing guns if they've been formally committed to a mental health facility, said Lindsay. Lindsay Nichols, police director at Griffith's Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. And it's not always gun violence, because just look at Canada. Canada has almost no firearms, but what do they have? They've got a lot of stabbings. Not as many as the UK, where they have bans against knives. You can't sell knives in a store. You can't buy buy knives from a store any longer because the usage of them in violence, knife violence, has gotten out of control. But again, blame the instrument and not the people wielding them. All right, so this one. What does this one say? Authorities recovered a multitude of weapons during their search for Card and believe he had legally purchased his firearms, including those recovered in his car and near his body, said Jim Ferguson, the special agent in charge of the Boston office of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. He declined to provide specific details about the guns, including their make and model, wouldn't say exactly how many were found. Again, why the hell is the ATF involved in this already? So why the fuck are the feds here? That this makes no sense of why the ATF would be there. They have no reason to be there. The ATF are fucking tax collectors. They're not real law enforcement agents. And if they were real law enforcement agents, they could only be out enforcing laws, for alcohol, tobacco, firearms. There was no firearms laws broken here. Person used a firearm in the commission of a crime. Why does that require the ATF to show up? That makes no sense. They're still searching for a motive for the massacre. The man was hearing voices. The man was very obviously mentally ill. So what was the motive? He was mentally ill and probably shouldn't have possessed firearms, but they never bothered to take him away from him because they wanted it to happen. It's Maine's yellow flag law. They might as well make it a red flag law, but the red flag laws are so easily abused and they're so unconstitutional to begin with Ay, ay, ay. They talk about the mental health crisis in this country and they throw millions or billions of dollars at it every year, especially big pharma with the amount of drugs they have prescribed to people for their mental health issues. But they don't actually really care about people's mental health because they encourage shit like this to happen. Okay. Find it hard to believe that I was once a classroom instructor, that I could sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours on end, and I have trouble doing it for 20 to 30 minutes at a time anymore. I mean, I feel horrible for the victims. These people should not have died. These people, they could have been very easily saved had they taken this person's firearms away from him, because he threatened to shoot some places up. And I know that, there's going to be some people out there that are so extreme with their Second Amendment preservation that, oh no, you can't seize a person's firearms for any reason whatsoever. It's against the Second Amendment. I understand that, but I'm also, I have apply a little bit of common sense to it, that somebody who shouldn't have firearms shouldn't possess firearms. Okay. And we've already got the systems in place for that. If he didn't have firearms and went to purchase them, we could have had him flagged so he couldn't purchase the firearms. And if he did possess firearms prior to that, they could have taken the firearms, or they could have transferred them to family members. But we've already seen that not work at all, because we've seen a shooting where they transferred the firearm to the family member. The person went to the family member, murdered the family member, took the firearm, and went out on a murderous rampage anyway. So that doesn't always work. A violent person who wants to commit some sort of violence is going to find a way. Somebody who's mentally disturbed for whatever reason, however they ended up in that position as being that mentally disturbed that they would want to go out and commit mass murder, they're going to do it. So whether it be with a firearm, whether it be with a knife, whether it be with an SUV, whether it be with some sort of other large vehicle, whether it be with a luxury vehicle, it doesn't matter. You 6,000-pound steel death machine traveling at 75 miles an hour lays a serious hurt on a human body. Don't always require firearms to commit mass murder. And then, you know what? Let's talk about the amount of fucking fentanyl that's come into this nation. How much fentanyl has poured across the borders? Enough fentanyl has poured across the borders that there is enough fentanyl in the nation to provide a fatal dose for every single living being in the country. That's every human. That's every horse. That's every cow. That's every sheep. That's every goat. That's every dog, every cat, every rat, every bat. They have brought enough fentanyl into this country to kill every living thing in it. Fentanyl. And yes, I've had fentanyl before given to me by an anesthesiologist post-surgery because they fucked up the nerve block and they missed. So coming out of anesthesia, you're supposed to have a nerve block to help block the pain from the surgery you just had, and it ain't fucking there. So you're screaming. So they give you some fentanyl, and I did not like the way that made me feel. Took the pain away, but it just sort of disconnects you from your body. So you're there, you're not in pain, but you're not actually in your body. So not a big fan of it as pain medication. But as a weapon of mass destruction, I can think of several different scenarios in my devious little brain that was trained in the military for 20 years and then given a degree in Homeland Security studies on top of it. In my brain, I can come up with several scenarios where fentanyl could be used as a weapon of mass destruction on an unsuspecting public. The public's not unsuspecting at this point. We know it's here. Why is the government allowing it to pour across the borders? No different than the government allowing to fucking army to pour across the southern border unchecked. I mean, seriously, I was going to save the spicy topics for the end, but, we're already there. All right. What else did I want to do here? We'll come back to 1440. We can say, what else is down here? Oh, humankind. Rapper Missy Elliott donates $50,000 to help 26 families with past due rent in her hometown. Cancer survivor delivers her 1 millionth meal to patients battling breast cancer. Father and son launch business creating custom Halloween costumes for children in walkers and wheelchairs. 2 women who remained pen pals since being paired together from elementary schools in California and Pennsylvania in 1980 finally meet for the first time. Florida teen adopted from foster care 1 day before his 18th birthday. Do we dare read this one? Yes, we'll dare read this one. This was a race and it got tense. Florida teen adopted hours before his 18th birthday. For some children, and let's see if I can close these ads here because these are annoying as hell. For some children in foster care, turning 18 without being adopted is a worst case scenario. Such was the case for Roman, Balsitis, who was 1 day shy of his 18th birthday when he finally adopted by a family he'd met as a preteen. The couple, Brad and Renee Ballistis, Balsawood, officially made him part of the family on Tuesday at the Clay County Historic Courthouse, about 40 miles southwest of the city of Jacksonville, Florida. Although his adoption was confirmed by Taylor County, Florida on Zoom, they wanted to give the teenager a real-life, in-person experience at a courthouse close to them in Clay County. We wanted to kind of set up that environment so it felt momentous to him other than just sight of sitting him in the Zoom, blah, 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 blah. They met him when he was 12. He was in a group home. Been a lot of upheaval in his life. When he needed to leave the group home, he was fostered, but he wasn't ready to be adopted. So hang on. Okay, how the fuck was he not ready to be adopted? He's in a fucking group home, and then he's in a foster home. How was he not ready to be adopted? That's stupid. And now he's been with him 14 months. Okay, what? I'm serious. To adopt children from foster care, parents have to undergo training through a state or private agency. The couple said families are matched with children and can adopt after completing paperwork, home studies, and background check. They were already foster parents. They're already foster parents. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You got to get training to be foster parents. Not to just, randomly apply to be a foster parent and be like, oh, okay, sure, cool, we'll give you some fucking kids. This isn't goddamn Futurama. So he'd already stayed with them, but he wasn't. Stupid. I'm sorry, that's stupid. Today we're sharing a story. No, I'm not sharing the story. This is the etc. I have nothing. History book. English philosopher John Locke dies, 1704. Gulliver's Travels is first published, 1726. Polio vaccine developer Jonas Salk, born 1914. Bill Gates, born 1955. Julia Roberts, born 1967. Bill, and they gave us a quote from Bill Gates, fucking the Antichrist himself, or one of the Antichrists. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. Yeah, bullshit, Bill. Bullshit. All right, we did that one. We were going to take a look at a couple of things over here. So this is my Twitter. You know it's my Twitter. You can subscribe to my Twitter. I have 6 followers. You can follow me if you'd like to. Or not. People don't like hearing the truth. They don't like, and you know, I've been dealing with that problem my whole life. You get raised with the whole golden rule thing, and you get raised to tell the truth, even though once you find out that your parents lie to you all the time, that sort of goes right out the window. But yeah, the truth is preferable to falsehoods, very obviously. But people don't like hearing the truth. People don't like hearing my predictions that, you know, okay, it's just an opinion, but I'm taking the facts that are available at the time and I'm making a prediction and I hit fairly close to the mark. Yeah, call it 75, 80% of the time. So it starts to really suck when you can see all the patterns, you know, pattern seeking monkey. Got my little lizard monkey brain going and can see the patterns. And well, yeah, you start to see the patterns over and over and over again. The lunatics from the left, their 10 commandments that I posted up a long time ago. But, you know, one of their first commandments is, you know, always accuse your opponent of what you are guilty of doing. And then, you know, your second commandment, deny. You deny everything. But it's been going on since the advent of socialism. They use the same playbook. They use the same rules. They use the same diversionary tactics. They use the same propaganda. They use the same everything over and over again. I mean, we have within living history people who survived World War II, and a lot of them left. But we still do have survivors of World War II. We have survivors of concentration camps, and those are some of the oldest ones. Then we have survivors of all the other crazy communist, socialist, fascist, authoritarian, totalitarian regimes throughout history. Pol Pot, you know, Mao Zedong, Stalin. The list goes on and on and on. And those, I mean, that's more current history. So we have people that got to watch that occur. It survived it, immigrated to America, became American citizens, and they can testify to it, and they get told to shut up. Or they get told, no, you're lying about your own personal history, which is, again, that's one of their tactics. Deny people their own experiences. You know, if it didn't happen to them, it didn't happen. And I know I'm repeating myself, but this is all I got for you, people. I you know, tried doing the news thing. That just, it's fuck boring because everybody does the news thing. You know, I'd be able to sit around in a bar and talk, but, you know, again, I don't have, you know, bar friends. I'm a better guest than a host, very obviously. And, man, I don't have the motivation anymore. I applaud anybody that does this on a daily basis. I seriously applaud somebody who does this multiple times on a daily basis, you know, 5-6 days out of the week. I mean, for them, that's their job. I mean, I don't. My only job at this point is to freaking watch the damn hay grow, be a music producer, do voice acting. I mean, I don't really have a real job anymore. Observing the apocalypse. Yeah, that's what I'm a fucking witness, right? So all the times you ever heard, can I get a witness? Oh, hey, look at me. Here, I got one. We were going to look at my crazy ass Twitter feed, from, the interior of my fucked up brain. And, something I, equated to before, those who, people who seek power shouldn't have it. Power should be given to the person that wants it the least, as they will take the longest to corrupt. This is why term limits are essential for people who seek power. Until we can change the human nature, greed will prevail. And we've talked about this in the past. The simple need for human greed. And you see it everywhere. But what's worse is being able to see that a person given power, doesn't matter how much power, little, a lot, they will find a way to abuse it. And my prime example now these days are customer service people. I have not experienced such horrible customer service ever. And it's been sliding for the better part of a decade. But you try to get a company's customer service rep to help you now these days, and it's always about them. It's stupid. You're the person who got ripped off. They're the person who's supposed to be representing the company. And especially if you spend a lot of money, you have a tendency of being a little bit on the irate or even angry side. And this person who's supposed to be representing the company, well, they probably need to get used to taking a little bit of a brunt of, the company failing their customers, especially a company that fails its customers often. But these people who have the power to help you or not, they will take that little tiny modicum of power that they have and they will abuse it. Just because you raised your voice or you used some form of obscenity or you didn't use the proper pronoun or whatever fucking excuse they can come up with to not do their jobs. And if they can't come up with excuse, it's always, are you on a cell phone? I can't hear you. Hello. I can't hear you. Yeah. You've got a bad connection. How many times have you heard that one, folks? How many times have you heard that one? Oh, you've heard it a lot. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And I know I'll end up getting in trouble for this, but at this point, I'm past giving two shits because these people are truly mentally disturbed. I mean, the poor mentally disturbed person in Maine who went and murdered all those people and then went and deleted himself for whatever reason we're never going to know. I think we can take some guesses at it, and at the same time, we can say they pushed him into it, of which I lean towards. But you have these mentally ill people with their fucking pronouns and their fucking hair dyes telling people you will respect my mental insanity. You will respect my delusion. No, I don't have to respect your delusion. Your delusions are your fucking own. I got enough crazy shit that goes on in my fucking head, but you want me to take part in your delusion that you're a man/woman, a woman/man, a he, she, them, it, zuck, fuck, buck, whatever. Serious. We have proper pronouns. Human beings. There are two kinds, males and females. They come in all different sizes, and generally those sizes are related to age. Not always necessarily. Sometimes there's genetic defects which keep people a little bit on the shorter side, or it keeps them on the skinnier side, or it keeps them on the obese side. Genetics are really fucking weird, and humans saying that we've got the genome figured out are fucking liars. But to tell me that I must participate in your mental illness, in your delusion, or that you're going to get violent with me. Now, these are the same crazy fuckers that equate words to violence. Okay? Yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me. A leather belt? Yes. A wooden spoon? Yes. A plastic coat hanger? Yes. Words? No. Do they hurt your feelings? Yes, of course. Nobody likes having their feelings abused, especially children. But these aren't children. This appears to be a teenager, even somebody who's above the legal age of 18, who says that they're going to get violent if you don't use the proper pronouns. And what's my response? My response would be, I'm a Gen Xer. Don't expect me to participate in your delusions, and certainly do not expect me to go gentle into that good night if you put your fucking hands on me. You know, you're not one of my parental units. You have zero right to put your hands on me, other than to be saying, I'm saving your life from whatever reason that you can give me. But you put your hands on me in a violent, angry manner. As a Gen Xer, I'm going to respond in kind. And as a Gen Xer, putting your hands on me is kind of like putting your hands on a Wolverine, because we were raised in the feral. We were raised being like, okay, you're going into fourth grade today. Here's the key to the house. Now, when you get home from school today, be sure that you check the mail. Be sure you pick up all the trash the dog dragged out of the trash can after letting the dog out so he can go outside and go to the bathroom. And then once you've done all that, go out and pick up all the dog poo. Yes. Fourth grade, I'm coming home from school by myself. Bus drops me off near the house, not in front of my house, near the house, because all the kids had to coagulate into separate areas. So there'd only be 3 bus stops instead of, 24 bus stops, because, well, you had to go stand out in the cold. You have to stand out in the cold. But whatever. They only made a couple of stops because not everybody's fucking special. Not everybody gets the doorstop service. You had to go wait near somebody else's house. And that was fine. But at the same time, we were raised independently. We were raised to be tough with our own feelings, and especially being attacked at school every day for whatever reason, because children are horrible animals. They have no filters. They have no boundaries. They have no concept of whatever anything is except what they can personally feel at a particular time. They're children. Ain't got a lot of laps around the sun. You shouldn't expect them to know much. This fucking idiot right here with the fucking red hair, one black eyebrow, one red eyebrow. What are you trying to do? Is this a Harley Quinn type of thing? I don't know what you're supposed to be. But I do know that you're a lunatic and you're threatening people. We'll see how that's going to go for you. Can we finally admit pronouns are a form of mental illness? Yeah. And let's see. America is well beyond the edge now. Nosedive, free falling to whatever comes next. Yep, seen the beginning of World War III, starting right where it says it was supposed to be, where it was prophesized to be, and where the precogs have been saying for years. Precogs, people, Nostradamus, people who can supposedly see the future, right? And then that's about it. Oh, well, you know what? I'll put this one out there too, because I enjoyed this one. This idiot says whiteness needs to end. And it's not racist to say white people should die and never exist. Well, have you looked in the mirror, you blue-bearded fuck-ton twat waffle? You're kind of white. So you know what? If this is the bullshit you're going to preach, if this is the hate that you're going to preach, and this is hate speech, this is not just speech that I hate or I disagree with. White people should die. You know what? Lead the way. Delete yourself, delete your carbon footprint, delete yourself from the society that you say that everybody should die. Lead the way. Be the example. Delete yourself. Delete your carbon footprint. And I just don't give a fuck at this point. You're telling me white now. Yeah, I think you get the point. But if you believe yourself to be part of the problem because you are white and whites are just a horrible race of people, it's a race. They're a horrible race of people, right? And if you also believe in zero carbon, um, well, you know what? You're a carbon producer. Every breath you take, every breath you exhale is filled with carbon dioxide. So, in order to get to zero CO2 emissions, you need to go as well. Now, see, I don't care about it because I know that the next time some volcano goes off, that's going to produce more atmospheric stuff, gases than, the human race can produce in, I don't know, 10, 15, 100 years, depending on the size of the volcanic eruption. So, and hang on before we move forward. And because we've also been able to read the science they've been able to do in the last 100 years, taking, samples from Antarctica, processing them, saying, okay, here's a layer from here, here's a layer from 1,000 years ago, here's a layer from 10,000 years ago, here's a layer from 100,000 years ago. Oh, and here's the layers of year by year by year by year, because we've been doing this for so long, and we can see, oh, look at the CO2 levels. The CO2 levels have the path they take over the course of time that rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall. We can see that over the course of 10, 50, 100, 500,000 years. We can see that scientific data that they've given us. Now, and if you're going to say, well, what science did it come from? I need you to cite it. Well, you know what? I lost that because it was an article that I read a long time ago that some of the knowledge is there. I happen to know it's there. I happen to believe in the science that's available that says the CO2 levels have on planet Earth at one time in history have been way freaking higher than they are now. So it has nothing to do with humans because the readings that they're getting are pre-human. Okay? So you can believe the science or you cannot believe the science. I don't particularly care. I believe in the piece of science that says Earth follows cycles. Earth is a living being, no different than you or me. All right? It's just a great, big, huge biological sphere of a spaceship flying through the universe. But it goes through cycles, just like everything goes through cycles. Light, dark. Well, sun comes up, sun goes down. Moon goes up, moon goes down. Light, dark, hot, cold. Cycles, people. Seriously, do I have to seriously fucking explain cycles, especially to any women listening to this? You should understand cycles, right? Okay, now that you understand cycles, you'll understand that all this climate change bullshit is exactly that. It is bullshit. The climate is changing. Yes. Do humans have anything to do with it? No. And now we've jumped right into something we were going to go to anyway to be spicy. But first, we're going to take a pause for the cause because I need a drink and I need to medicate. So I'll be right back. And we're back. Still couldn't work that cough out of there, but whatever. Here we go. With the era of unquestioned and unchallenged climate change claims is over. New studies undercut the scientifically empty warming narrative, says astrophysicist and aerospace engineer. This was written by Alex Newman. Leading voices in the climate community are in an uproar as the warming hypothesis is coming under fresh assault by new scientific papers, the kind that I read. The authors of the papers are being attacked and said that active scientists threatened by the new findings are aggressively conducting an orchestrated disinformation campaign to discredit the papers and the scientific reputation of the authors. Indeed, from insults on social media and furious blog posts to Freedom of Information requests demanding emails from a journal editor and a federal scientist, the controversy is getting heated. Several scientists who spoke with Epoch Times expressed shock at the tactics used against those whose latest research is casting renewed doubts on the official climate narrative. William Happer, Princeton professor emeritus of physics and former climate advisor to President Donald Trump, wasn't surprised by the response to the new findings. Of course, the climate cult will be dismissive of any information, no matter how scientifically correct, that is politically incorrect, he told Epoch Times, noting that the new findings made important and valid points. The reason that climate activists are so upset that the findings of these new papers, a trio of peer-reviewed studies by astrophysicist Willie Soon and dozens of other scientists from around the world, are casting further doubt on the narrative of man-made global warming. The papers are also fueling even more public skepticism about the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which the author says ignores the facts as well as climate science more generally. The rhetoric employed by taxpayer-funded scientists with a vested interest in the climate change narrative to attack the new research was profoundly unscientific, multiple scientists told the Epoch Times. Atmospheric science professor Michael Mann of Pennsylvania State University, for instance, denounced the authors of one of the new papers as a group of climate deniers, clown emoji on X. Mr. Mann, famous for the now widely ridiculed hockey stick graph purporting to show massive man-made warming, also described the editor of the journal Climate as a denier clown. Gareth S. Jones, a senior scientist at the UK Met Office, ridiculed the new studies as nonsense while smearing the journal's publisher for supposedly being popular with the science denial community. Mr. Jones also denounced the guest editor of Climate Special Issue, Ned Nikoloff, for having a bit of a reputation, so much that other climate contrarians distanced themselves from him. Mr. Nikoloff authored an earlier paper arguing that atmospheric pressure, not greenhouse gases, plays a primary role in temperatures on Earth and other celestial bodies. Also chiming in to attack the new papers and the scientists behind them was Gavin Schmidt, director of the NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies, who's using a file request to demand all of Mr. Nikoloff's emails with relevant scientists. Mr. Schmidt mocked Greenpeace co-founder Patrick Moore on one of the authors, saying on X that there was more expletive going around before posting a highly edited version of Mr. Moore's post on social media. The only point of this paper, which every climate denier and their dog has jumped onto, to launder dirty science into a clean made-for-Fox meme, Mr. Schmidt wrote on X before publishing a more detailed rebuttal on his blog Real Climate. The latest contrarian crowd pleaser from Soon et al. Is just the latest reputation of the old "it was the sun what done it" trope that Willie Soon and his colleagues have been pushing for decades, argued Mr. Schmidt, whose federal salary is almost $200,000 per year. There is literally nothing new under the sun. Scientists respond. The blog post posted by Mr. Schmidt is dismissive in an insubstantive way, said climatologist Judith Curry, who wasn't involved in the new papers but previously served as a chair of the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the Georgia Institute of Technology. The response by Schmidt, Mann, and others, particularly with regard to the file request regarding editorial discussions on this paper, reflects their ongoing attempts to control the scientific as well as public dialogue on climate change, she told Epoch Times. In my opinion, Their behavior not only reflects poorly on them, but is damaging to climate science. It's all about the papers. You can go read the papers if you like. Usually read the intro, the abstract, and the summary, because you try to get into the nitty-gritty of the science of it, and you lose your mind pretty quick because it's too much data for you to track unless you're wanting to do this as a living, which some people do, some people don't. I just want to try and get the gist of it. But the gist of what this is follow the money. It's as easy as that. And it's always follow the money. All the people that are publishing the scientific papers showing and stating that the man-made climate change is a hoax. Yes, there is climate change, but that it's man-made driven is a complete and utter hoax. And the fact that they're doing more damage to the environment by pushing this false green narrative instead of actually following the real science, because there's so much money in it. Seriously, how many times have you heard about this money for, climate change? The science of climate change is a expensive science, so it requires, massive funding and donations. Yeah, it's big. It's a climate change, just like the funeral industry is a billion-dollar industry. And it's disgusting because it's an unnecessary industry, because the only thing that we are catering to is a small group of individuals' greed and their lust for power. Once again, someone who lusts for power should definitely not have it. You go back one more here. We're going to bring this into the conversation because we've all heard this one, especially if you're listening to me or you listen to anybody else that I listen to. We've all heard from the beginning, the embalmers, the morticians, the post-death industry people that have been talking about these fibrous clots that have been showing up in the bodies of people that have gotten the jab. Yeah, I'm scrolling through it quick because we've been down this road before. And again, it gets into the whole back and forth of it. Well, there's a group of embalmers that are willing to come out and put their names on a legal document, getting it notarized, making it a legal document for submittal to a court. Tell the truth and only the truth. So help you goddess. Coming out and saying, this is what we have found. No different than all the affidavits that were filed after the 2020 election with individual citizens, over 25,000 of them in one case, stating, I didn't call for an absentee ballot, but an absentee ballot was registered in my name and I did not get to vote. And that all got thrown out because 25,000 people all came forward and lied about it, going in front of a court and perjured themselves. So think about that. It becomes the whole back and forth. So you have to be able to think for yourself and make up your own damn mind. And yeah, I guess that's basically what it boils down to with everything. You can let somebody do your thinking for you, or you can put the effort into it that it takes to find enough data for you to formulate your own opinion. And I'm sorry, I get lost in my own thoughts, and I know this is live, but if you're watching, and there appears to be somebody watching, so thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up if you possibly can, and share this if possible. But I mean, that's a line of thought that I want to get into on a different a different set of circumstances live stream, and that's being the black sheep of the black sheep. You know, I am completely out of step with the world, and I have been my whole life. It's Mama always said you march to the beat of your own drum, and Goddess knows that's what I've been doing my whole life. And here it is, 50 years into my life, in a set of circumstances that I'd never thought I'd find myself in, and that is watching the destruction of my country. The country that I dedicated 20 years of my life to. To serve, protect Constitution of the United States of America. And here we are in a dictatorship that has absolutely destroyed the Constitution piece by piece, with different legislation included into these omnibus bills, which should not be allowed. A bill should be a bill, and it should stand alone on its own. So if you have an infrastructure bill, the only thing that should be in the bill is infrastructure, and that's it. It shouldn't have little sneak attack little legislations in there for disarming the citizens, for censoring the citizens, for murdering the citizens, for toxifying the citizens, for destroying the environment around the citizens' properties. East Palestine, seriously, first time in history that they used fire as a cleanup method, and it come out just a few months ago that, oh, well, they weren't supposed to have done that. Nobody's being punished for it. In fact, the news goes ahead and fully suppresses it. So the poor people that, purchased their homes there, set down roots there, homesteaded there, they now live in a toxified environment. No different than some, enemy of the country flying over and dropping some sort of chemical weapon on them, except that it was done to them by their own government. And we're pretty much powerless to do anything about it. And the little town that I live in, not grew up in, that I live in currently, it has somebody that's flying their American flag upside down. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I agree with your sentiment. I do agree with your sentiment. The question is, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? What are you doing about it? Are you doing anything about it? Are you even talking about it? Putting yourself out there on stupid fucking live streams like I'm doing right now, knowing that I'm on a fucking watch list, not just as, a retired vet, not just as a retired gunner's mate, not just as a certified gunsmith, but for my free speech. And we know that they have the AIs out there with algorithms chasing us down now, making lists and checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty and ends up in a fucking concentration camp. So this is where we're at. Doesn't make me very happy. That's very obvious. It doesn't make me very happy at all. Not as a vet, not as an American citizen, not as a human being who has spent enough time with his nose in books, history or otherwise, to know that socialism is bad. Marxism is bad. Depending on somebody else to do the work for you because you just don't want to do the work because you're entitled and special, little crystalline individual snowflake, not realizing that you're just a snow pebble that's been mass produced in a snow machine on some fucking rich guy's mountain. He's not just, having snow imported from Italy. He's, using ginormous refrigeration machines to chill the whole mountain so that he can go skiing on July 4th to celebrate his independence. Now I'm just randomly rambling, letting my brain free flow and I don't know, contaminating the newspeak that they're trying to push on us. At some point, I don't, I expect to, get hammered with the algorithm from YouTube, and because it won't ever be a live person. Not consistent enough, and it's consistency that gets you your audience. If you are not consistent, you are not going to have an audience. I know this, but I'm out of energy. I'm so low on energy, and that's not just the chronic pain that racks my every waking moment from the physical damage of my youth, my 20 years in the military, and then the biological warfare agent known as SARS-CoV-2 that the CCP released on the whole world. Tired all the time. I'm in pain all the time. Yeah. Still here, though, for whatever fucking reason. So, anyway, folks, that's a little better than an hour, almost an hour and a quarter. Hey, we got 3 now. Wow. Actually, I'm one of them. So got 2 people watching. That's amazing. And I was just about to close the show up, but jump in at the very, very end. Thanks for jumping here at the very end. Go ahead, hit that like button if you don't mind. Or hang on. I can turn the live stream on and off as I like. So let's go to all chat. I don't know if you can tell me who you are. I'd appreciate that. I might even subscribe back to you or whatever. Just hit me up in the chat real quick. I'll give you a Jeopardy moment if you don't mind. Please give me a hand here. Help me out. All right, I'll give you 30 seconds. How about that? Oh, and back. And Lady Tanya Alexis. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate that. Thanks for answering the call. And we're back down. Yep. I get it. Anyway. All right. So, Lady Tanya, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you later. Anyway, for everybody else, thanks for hanging out with me and letting me rap at you. Let's just I didn't record the outro yet, did I? So we'll just do this. Chat with you later. Bye-bye.